Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're visiting for the first time, I am Angela and I find my paradise through reading. So hang out with us for a little bit and just let's talk about books. Okay, let's talk about books. I figured I'd just make a quick video, talk about what I'm currently reading and what I'm hoping to add to my July TBR. We're midway through July, so I don't know how many more books I'm going to be able to fit in this month, but it's so hard to decide. I have acquired so many amazing books over the last couple months, and I can't figure out what to read next because there's just so many. Oh my gosh, there's so many, and narrowing it down is almost impossible. But I grabbed 5 books, almost at random. It feels like because there's just so many. And maybe I'll just start with those. But anyways, let's talk about what I'm reading first. First, I'm in the middle of Le Petit Prince. So this is the book in French, and The Little Prince in English. So I'm reading this in French. I read this in English last month, and I'm reading it in French this time to help with my French studies. And I'm kind of rereading the English alongside the French. So if I'm coming across words that I don't understand in French, I go right to the English book and so I can see the translated version of it. So I don't have to keep stopping and looking up words. So it's really nice side by side. Now last month I wasn't that impressed with this book. I didn't understand why this book was such a big deal. I read it pretty quickly. It was just like a pretty quick read. So I just flew through it and maybe a lot of the things went over my head. But the second time around, I'm reading it a lot more slowly, and I am enjoying it more. And, you know, I've tabbed like some things, and yeah, there are just some really cute parts of this book and really insightful. And yeah, so let me just share one of these passages. So here's one. The little prince went to look at the roses again. Okay. You're not at all like my rose. You're nothing at all yet, he told them. No one has tamed you, and you haven't tamed anyone. You're the way my fox was. He was just a fox like 100,000 others, but I've made him my friend, and now he's the only fox in all the world. And the roses were humbled. You're lovely, but you're empty, he went on. One couldn't die for you. Of course, an ordinary passerby would think my rose looked just like you. But my rose, all on her own, is more important than all of you together, since she's the one I've watered, since she's the one I put under glass, since she's the one I sheltered behind a screen, since she's the one for whom I killed the caterpillars, except the 2 or 3 for butterflies, since she's the one I listened to when she complained or when she boasted, or even sometimes when she said nothing at all, since she's my rose. Like, isn't that just like so, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And there are just like a lot of like passages like, but of course, those of us who understand life couldn't care less about numbers. There's one. Let me see what another tab says. Then you shall pass judgment on yourself, the king answered. That is the hardest thing of all. It is much harder to judge yourself than to judge others. If you succeed in judging yourself, it's because you are truly a wise man. That's pretty deep for what's classified as a children's book, I'll be honest. But I really am enjoying this the second time around. Who knew? So there's that. I am reading, I started the selected poems of Robert Frost. This is on my list of 100 greatest books ever written. And I have this gorgeous copy, and this is from the Fall River Press. And let me just do a flip through. It's just gorgeous. Got the shiny pages, illustrations all throughout, these gorgeous poems. I actually only just started this yesterday, and Note to self, I absolutely cannot sit in my recliner with a cozy sweater and a book, because I will read like 3 pages of something and just fall asleep. So like I did that the last 3 nights in a row, like, or the last 3 evenings, and it's like 8 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I ate my dinner, I'm fed. Let me grab my book, sit in my recliner. I have my sweater on because the AC in this house is like crazy. And then a couple minutes later, I am knocked out. So if I want to get some reading done, I can't do it in my recliner. It's just not happening. Let me get mine. I made a smoothie. Okay. So I'm not even sure what I can say about this so far, because as soon as I started reading it, my eyes were going crisscross. Like I was just, yeah. Let me see, my November guest. My sorrow when she's here with me thinks these dark days of autumn rain are beautiful as days can be. She loves the bare, the withered tree, the walks, the sodden pasture lane. Her pleasure will not let me stay. She talks and I am fain to list. She's glad the birds are gone away. She's glad her simple worsted gray is silver now with clinging mist. Yeah, so a lot of these, it looks like they have to do with nature. I mean, I see October, butterfly, the veil, roses, flower, rose begonias, the thawing wind, a prayer in spring, wind and window flowers, storm fear. So I can't say I'm that familiar with his writings or his poems. The Road Not Taken, he's the one that, well then, I am familiar with The Road Not Taken. That's probably the only poem that I know of, that I've heard from Robert Frost. So yeah, I think this will be interesting to not read in my recliner though. I'll fall asleep. Next I'm reading the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. Well, I forgot to tell you how far. Well, I'm probably 3 pages into this one. The Little Prince, I'm almost done. I have like 10 pages left, so that's where I'm at. Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, I am 19 pages in, and it's 183 pages. This is a beautiful copy. It's very buttery, very soft book. And this was from Signature Class. It's a Signature Classics edition, Union Square and Company. So look at the inside. It's just really nice. It's a very, very nice book. So with the Meditations, Marcus Aurelius, this Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor, and Meditations are his journal entries. He used to journal every day. And so these are pages from his journal, and he was a Stoic, you know, and he followed Stoic philosophy. So his book Meditations is really big on, especially those who are interested in Stoicism or philosophy in general. He is just fantastic here. Says a lot of amazing things, and I am just like highlighting the mess out of this book. It's just great. I'm not going to go into like some of the things I highlighted. Maybe like in like book 1, I can just go, he talks about the different things that he learned from different people. So it'll say, from my grandfather, Verus, I learned good morals and the government of my temper, modesty and a manly character. From my mother, piety and beneficence and abstinence, not only from evil deeds, but even from evil thoughts, and further, simplicity in my way of living, far removed from the habits of the rich. From my great-grandfather, not to have frequented public schools and to have had good teachers at home, and to know that on such things a man should spend liberally. from Diognidus, not to busy myself about trifling things. So there is a lot of wisdom in this book, and I am immensely enjoying it, and I am taking my time every sentence, just letting it sink in. Okay. The 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Blue Bear. I am currently reading this, and this is by Walter Moores. If you guys did not see the video of when I read The City of Dreaming Books by Walter Moores, blew me out of the water. I loved it so incredibly much. Oh my gosh, I just love the book. So this is another book of Walter Moores. It is also in that same world. This is like part of like the Zamonian world. I am 331 pages into this 702 page book, so almost halfway done, tabbing some stuff. And this guy, as always, is hilarious. He is so unique in his thoughts and the things that he comes up with. Like there's this creature, the Alpine Imps, that apparently they are so hideous that they even are repulsed by each other, and so they're going extinct because of it. So things like that, like he just cracks me up. So let me share an excerpt so you can see what kind of, well, I'll show you, or I'll read to you one of the very first things that I highlighted, which was like in the first paragraph, first couple sentences, okay? It says, people usually start life by being born. Not me though. That's to say, I don't know how I came into the world. Purely theoretically, I could have emerged from the foam on the crest of a wave or developed inside a seashell like a pearl. Then again, I might have fallen from the sky like a shooting star. So that is the first sentence. So this on the front, it says equal parts J.K. Rowling, Douglas Adams, and Shel Silverstein. So if you like those authors, you might like this book. There's one, okay, this is funny. So he is in the desert. This is where I'm at. He's in the desert riding on this thing. It's a camidary. And it's like a cross between a camel and a, I think, dromedary, something like that. Really weird desert creature. This is what he's riding on. And this is what he has to say about that experience. He says, traveling by camidary gave me a certain amount of trouble at first. Riding that desert beast isn't exactly comfortable and takes a lot of getting used to. On horseback, you feel as if you're moving in time to classical music. A camidary seems to progress to the beat of a drum played by a drunk. It puts its feet down in a wobbly, arbitrary order, sometimes favoring a forefoot, sometimes a hind foot, and is forever tripping itself up. It sways first right, then left, falls to its knees, and struggles up again. If I have ever in my lives suffered from anything akin to seasickness, it was on a camidary in the middle of the desert, not aboard some ship on the high seas. So I am having a lot of fun with this book. I still think The City of Dreaming Books is better. I loved it. But this is still very entertaining, and I am having a really good time with this. And I have this sectioned off here. I am trying to read 100 pages a day, so I can get this book done and over with, so I can start reading some other things. So that is what I am currently reading. Okay, now on to the books that I'm hoping to get into in the rest of the month of July. First, we have Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. I just got this in a little free library. This is one of my friend's absolutely favorite books, and it looks like it could be a pretty quick read, and I think I'm gonna start this next. It's something about da 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 da. I don't know. There was like a bombing of Dresden, and this guy survived that bombing because he was in a meat locker underground. That's all I know about this. So apparently, I think Kurt Vonnegut actually, I think that was based on his life or what actually happened to him, and he actually was in a meat locker and actually did survive that bombing, but he incorporated some real life events into this book. We'll see. I don't know, but I heard this is excellent. I'm excited to start this. We have Fredrik Backman, Anxious People. I hear this is like, it's all over the place. Everyone's talking about it. Why not go into another Fredrik Backman? I just read A Man Called Ove last month. And this one, I was actually like more excited to read this than The Man Called Ove. But I hear like you could just sit down and finish this in one sitting because it's so good. Do I know what it's about? Not really. But we're gonna find out. Let me read the back quick, I guess. Looking at real estate isn't usually a life or death situation, but an apartment open house becomes just that when a failed bank robber bursts in and takes a group of 8 strangers hostage. Each of them carries a lifetime of grievances, hurt, secrets, and passions that are ready to boil over. None of them is entirely who they appear to be. In short, they are the worst group of hostages in the world. But as the minutes tick by, they begin to suspect that the criminal mastermind holding them hostage might be more in need of rescuing than they are. As the authorities and the media surround the premises, these reluctant allies will reveal surprising truths about themselves and set in motion a chain of events so unexpected that even they can hardly explain what happens next. Anxious People is an ingeniously constructed story about the enduring power of friendship, forgiveness, and hope, the things that can save us even in the most anxious of times. Sounds good. All right, definitely Hunter x Hunter Volume 8. I just got this and I'm gonna read this. Manga. Yes, sir. I just finished Hunter, or not Hunter x Hunter, The Way of the House Husband. And so I'm gonna finish this one, and then next month I'll probably get the next book. But I'd like to continue this series, at least 1 or 2, at the very least, 1 or 2 volumes in the series a month. And then I finished the Spanish book that I was reading called El Regalo by Danielle Steel. It's The Gift in English by Danielle Steel. So I finished that. And so I want to keep making sure that I have Spanish books in my reading at all times. So I am going to be working on this. This is short stories in Spanish. I mean, since I finished that novel, I didn't want to get into like another Spanish novel right away. It's just a lot. But yeah, this is a collection of short stories. There are some questions and answer parts that accompany the short stories to test your comprehension. So I think this is a lot more doable, just little by little, sprinkling Spanish into my reading this month. That is it. Okay, that's where I'm at so far. Whether I'm going to stick to these 5 books after I finish the ones I'm currently reading, I don't know. Because I'm always getting distracted by new shiny books. So, but I am trying to like read what is on these gorgeous shelves. There are so many. At this point, I would have to say that I have accumulated books so quickly that my read versus unread books on my shelves is probably maybe 20% read and 80% unread. So we have some work to do. We need to like focus, all right? Stop getting distracted by all these wonderful books and little free libraries and book sales and Barnes and Nobles and Amazon books and all right, I have a confession. It was Amazon Prime Day. And I bought some books. But it was Prime Day and they were on sale. I don't know what else I could. Hanging my head in shame. Whatever. I didn't buy a lot. A couple. Just a couple. It's okay. It's totally okay. I need to work on this. I really need to work on this. I'm looking at this shelf. I'm looking at that shelf. Shelves over there. The shelves upstairs. There are unread books everywhere and I can't barely decide what to read next because I want to read them all at the same time. Nice problem to have, I guess. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you are staying reading, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.